Hello everyone, Zeno here. Here to bring part 2 of What If Team RWBY were teleported into Red vs Blue. Link down description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Chapter 3. Dit. It didn't take long for Church, Ruby, and Weiss to arrive at Blue Base. As they did, Ruby and Weiss noticed a soldier outside wearing purple armor. "Who's that?" Ruby asked. "Is he a member of your team?" Weiss asked as well. "No, he's..." Church paused, not sure how to finish the sentence. "Actually, I don't know why he's still even here." Ruby and Weiss didn't say anything else as the three of them approached the base. "Hey, Doc," Church addressed the purple-armored soldier. "I need to call command. We got a situation." Doc did not respond to what Church asked and for some reason was looking at the ground. "Hey, Earth to Doc," Church called out again. This time, Doc looked up and faced Church. "Or, this place to Doc. Aren't you gonna say hello to our new friend?" Doc asked. "What?" Church didn't know what Doc was talking about. Church," Ruby said, getting his attention and pointing to the ground. On the ground, Church, Ruby, and Weiss saw a small teal-colored alien. "Honk," the alien said. I can't, I don't," Church rambled, unable to process what he was looking at. Weiss had an expression that was mix of incomprehension and disgust at what she was looking at. Ruby on the other hand gave an appropriate for her response. "It's so cute," she squealed. "Well, glad to someone here has the right reaction when looking at new life," Doc said. "By the way Church, who are these girls?" Church shook out of his stupor. "I can't deal with this right now." "Blarg," the alien said. "Shut up, you're disgusting," Church said to the alien before turning back to Doc. "Doc, what's Vic's number? Why do you need it?" Doc asked. "Because I need tell them to send someone to help Ruby, Weiss, and their team," Church replied. "Who?" Doc asked. "Oh right," Church said. "Doc, Ruby and Weiss." "Ruby and Weiss, Doc." Ruby waved her hand at Doc while Weiss just gave a polite nod. "Who are they?" Doc asked again. "They can explain everything to you while I call Vic," Church said. "Which I could do if you just tell me his goddamn number." "Come on Church," Doc said. "Everybody knows Vic's number. Didn't he ever teach you the song?" "Song?" Weiss said, confused. "Oh right," Church recalled. "Vic's jingle." With that, Doc began singing it. "If you want to talk, don't email. And don't you click, just call me up at 555, VICK. "What a terrible song," Weiss said. "That, I can agree with," Church said. "Also, you do know Vic's name doesn't even have a K. I'd like to think that it's in the message and not the lyrics," Doc said. "Whatever," Church said as he began calling. "Hey dude," Vic's voice said from the other end. "Vic, this is Vic, at 555 volt ICK, doodly do. I'm not in the casita right now, so leave your low down at the ding dong. Asta." Church groaned at hearing the machine. "Vic, this is Church. You have reached the voicemail system," the automated voice said. Church growled even further. He turned to Ruby and Weiss. "This might take a while. You go wait inside while I make this call." "What should we do while you make the call?" Ruby asked. "I don't know," Church said. "Look for something around the base and see if it can help you get home." "Look for what exactly?" Weiss asked. "I doubt that you have anything that can help open a door between dimensions." "There's a ton of junk inside," Church said. "You could, I don't know, build a door between dimensions." "I was joking about the door," Weiss said. "Look, I don't know," Church shouted. "Just go inside and look for something. Jesus Christ. This is why I don't like dealing with kids." Church kept ranting to himself as he walked off. "HMPH, Weiss said. How rude. While Church is making his call, why don't I show you inside?" Doc offered. "That would be lovely," Weiss said, giving a forced smile and hoping that Doc would be less of a handful than the other soldiers. She and Ruby followed Doc inside the base, though Ruby also brought the baby alien with them as she continued to squeal over its cuteness. "What the hell is that tapping noise?" Griff asked out loud. The tapping that was coming from the ship was growing more frequent, and it was starting to grate on everyone's nerves. Hey, it's your ship, you tell us, Yang said, also becoming irritated with the noise. It's clearly obvious what this noise is, Sarge said. Donut is still alive under the ship and is now trying to send us a message to get him out. But, sir, Simmons said. You just said that Donut died an untimely and inglorious death. That was before we found out that Donut was still alive. Sarge yelled at Simmons. It just goes to show the resilience of the Red Army. All I'm hearing out of this message is a bunch of stupid tapping noises that are starting to give a headache, Griff said. How idiotic can you be, Private Griff? Sarge shouted. Donut is clearly sending us a message using Morse code. Morse what? Blake said. Sir, I think you mean Morse code, Simmons corrected. Morse, Sarge said. I don't think so, Simmons. That just sounds ridiculous. But it is called Morse code, Simmons insisted. Blake just rolled her eyes at the Sarge and Simmons debate. If your friend is still alive, shouldn't you try to get him out? The lady is right, Sarge declared. Simmons, what are the possible methods to get Donut out? Maybe if we can lift the ship off him somehow. Simmons suggested. Great idea, Simmons, Sarge said. I've heard that people can get unbelievable strength in stressful situations. Now, all we need to do is increase our adrenaline. Or we could use the jack from the Jeep. Or we build a machine that could turn the ship from metal into paper. There are shovels in the Jeep too. We could dig. Or we could build a disintegration ray. One blast will turn this ship to dust in a sec. While Sarge and Simmons continued debating over their ideas, and Griff was clearly paying no attention to the conversation, Blake and Yang headed over to the ship, which continued making tapping noise. Seriously, this tapping makes me almost wish that this donut guy making it would just die already, Yang commented. Blake gave her partner a look of disapproval. Hey, I said almost, Yang said, raising her hands in defense. Shish, Blake said. I'm trying to listen. Listen, it's not that hard, Yang said. There's a tapping noise. End of story. No, that's not it, Blake said, focusing on the sound. I don't think the noise is coming from under the ship, I think it's coming from inside it. How do you know that? Yang asked. Blake gave Yang a look as if it should be obvious, before she pointed at her bow. Oh right, Yang realized. You have an ACAT-E sense of hearing. Please don't say that, Blake said. Ever again. So you think someone's inside? Yang said. Most likely, Blake answered. Yang turned to where the Reds were still debating. Hey. As usual, they were too busy, discussing, to hear her. Well, guess it's up to us, Yang said, shrugging. What? Blake said, not understanding what her partner meant. That is, until she saw Yang walk behind the ship and face the door. What are you? Before Blake could finish her sentence, Yang jumped up in the air and grabbed the top of the door. With both her hands, she pulled the door down as hard as she could. The loud creaking sound of the forced opening was heard by the Reds and made them go to check what was going on. What in Sam Hill is going on? Sarge shouted. Yang walked up to them, dusting off her hands. I just fixed your ship problem. You're welcome. Sarge just stared, unable to respond. Sir, I think someone's coming out, Simmons said. They all turned to the open ship and heard footsteps. They all headed to the door and saw someone step out. What the hell are you doing here? Griff shouted. When Church said that there was a ton of junk in the base, he wasn't kidding. Everywhere Ruby and Weiss walked, there were scattered scraps of machinery, broken boxes, as well as what appeared to be scattered food on the floor. This place is a dump, Ruby whispered to Weiss. That, we can agree on, Weiss said. She then turned to Doc. Is this base always this unkept? Oh, it's only like this because of the little fella over there, Doc said, referring to the little alien Ruby was carrying. That, I can believe, Weiss muttered. Now, don't listen to Weiss, Ruby said to the alien. She just doesn't see how great you are yet. Weiss simply rolled her eyes. As they continued walking, Weiss decided to ask Doc about what was going on in this canyon and about the Reds and Blues. As best as he could, Doc told them about how the Reds and Blues were assigned at Blood Gulch as one of many outposts, that they were part of a continuous war between the Red and Blue armies. Weiss also tried to explain how she and her team came from another dimension, though she didn't say anything further, not wanting to give any more information than needed. So, Ruby said, joining in the conversation. Are you sure Church, Sarge, and the rest of their squads are supposed to be fighting each other? Because from the way they were talking, it didn't sound like they wanted to kill each other for real. I know, right, Doc said in agreement. I mean, yeah, when I first saw these guys, they were really doing their best to try and kill each other. But, after the things that went on here and the weird adventures these guys went through together, the need to kill each other just got less and less. That doesn't sound like very disciplined soldiers, Weiss noted. But considering the way they act, it makes some sense. Don't get me wrong, Doc said. They definitely still give each other a hard time. All I'm saying is, it's kind of funny how two groups of people who hate each other eventually become something you'd probably call friends. Or at least as close to friends as they can get. Upon hearing this, Weiss looked at Ruby, remembering how the two of them went through a similar experience. Ruby just gave Weiss a wide smile. Weiss just rolled her eyes, but smiled briefly, feeling glad that things between them turned out well. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sounds of loud moaning. The three of them stopped walking when they saw a blue armored soldier lying on the ground. Caboose, so this is where you were, Doc said. Still can't move, I see. Oh, hello Doc, Caboose greeted weakly, still not moving from the floor. No, I cannot. Well, while you're here, I'd like to introduce to you some new friends, Doc said. Hello, Ruby said cheerfully. Oh my god, Caboose said in surprise and excitement. Doc, the floor can talk. Huh, both Ruby and Weiss were confused by Caboose's reaction. Oh Caboose, you big idiot, Doc said as he shook his head. Hello floor, Caboose shouted. My name is Caboose. It is nice to finally talk with you. No, my name is Ruby, Ruby tried to clarify. Oh, how silly of me, Caboose said. Hello Ruby the floor. Weiss facepalmed in frustration. Yeah, it takes a while to talk with Caboose, Doc said. He's a soldier, right? Weiss pointed out. He sounds like a child. I think it's sweet, Ruby said. People don't have to act their own age. Of course you'd say that, Weiss said. You still act like a child most of the time. Thank you, Ruby said proudly. Weiss just shook her head, though a smirk began forming as well. There is no 11 you fucking whore. That sounds like church, Ruby said, recognizing the loud yell coming from outside. I'm guessing church's call to command isn't going well, Doc said. Weiss said, feeling downcast at their lack of progress. I just hope that Blake and Yang are having better luck than we are. Cheer up, Weiss, Ruby said. I'm sure they've found something helpful with the Reds. Like a device that can work with the dust we have, or someone who understands this different universe stuff, or Griff's sister, Simmons declared in surprise. It was the same reaction of surprise everyone had as the yellow armored soldier stepped out. I know, right, Sister said excitedly. You know, I always knew there was an unlikely possibility of Griff having blood relatives, Sarge said. But I always hoped that he was a horrible byproduct of an experiment at a turd manufacturing plant. That's disgusting, Blake said. Yes, he is, Sarge said. Go home, Griff said, stepping forward to address his sister. Now. What? Sister said in confusion. You heard me, go home, Griff repeated. Get in your ship, uncrash it, and leave. This just got awkward, Yang commented. I thought you'd be happy to see me, Sister argued. I'm serious, Griff continued. I know I have a reputation as a do-nothing slacker to keep, but I will break your legs and throw you back in that ship if I have to. Okay, Yang said, not wanting the tension to rise even further. Let's all calm down. So, Griff's sister, how are you? Great I guess, Sister said cheerfully. You know, considering that I got stuck inside a ship after it landed, started hearing weird sounds and bumps from outside, and the thought that I might starve to death crossed my mind a few times. So you know, great. Reet, Yang said, a little disturbed by Sister's cheery tone after what she just said. Now hold on a sec, Sarge said. How did you get in the army? What do you mean? Sister said casually. I just signed up. But, Sarge said confused. But you got lady parts. Oh no, Yang said rolling her eyes. Not this again. So what? Sister said. So, last I checked, this wasn't the cooking and sewing army. Duh, Sister said, not getting what Sarge said. I joined the real army. You'll need to excuse Sarge, Simmons said. He comes from the old school way of things. Thanks, also, no one says, old school, anymore, Sister said. But, Why did you join army? Blake asked. Becoming a soldier is not exactly a career anyone would want to choose. Actually, I joined because of my brother, sister explained. Me, Griff said, confused. I mean, you always looked after me ever since mom ran away to join the circus, sister said. Wait, what? Yang said, a smile creeping on her face. Did you say your mom was in the circus? Simmons' voice was full of amusement. You have just made my insults 45% more efficient with that one sentence. What did your mom do? Yang asked, curious. Well, you know how circuses have a bearded lady and a fat lady. Well, my mom plays both, 'cause she's like, super talented. Upon hearing that, Yang burst into full-blown laughter. Blake elbowed Yang to compose herself, but she was also trying to stifle a laugh. Can I record everything you say? Simmons asked. This is gold. Sure, sister agreed. Anyway, Griff always looked after me, but when he left, I didn't want to be alone. That's actually kind of sweet, Blake admitted. Wait a minute, Yang said. Let me get this straight. You didn't want to be alone, so you signed up and joined a war. Pretty much, sister cheerfully replied. She's a Griff all right, Sarge said. Wait a minute, Griff suddenly shouted. You were the one tapping. Yeah, sister said. Took you long enough by the way. Wait, Griff's right, Blake said, realizing what Griff meant. If his sister was the one making the tapping noise, then what happened to Donut? Chapter 4, Open Mic Funeral. After multiple tries, and accidentally dropping him a couple of times, Ruby, Weiss, and Doc were finally able to get Caboose on his feet. Oh thank you, Caboose said gratefully. It was getting very lonely down there. Especially since the floor stopped talking to me. Caboose, I'm Ruby, Ruby corrected. What a funny coincidence, the floor's name is also Ruby, Caboose said, not understanding at all what Ruby meant. Yes, it really is a funny coincidence, Ruby said smiling, not bothering to correct him anymore. Now that we have him up, can we please go see if Church made any progress? Weiss suggested. Ooh, you know Church. Caboose said excitedly. We're the best of friends. I shall go see him. Caboose then ran outside as quickly as he could. Weiss sighed. Let's go. They all soon followed Caboose outside. Once they were outside, they saw Caboose beside Church. Caboose was holding Church's sniper rifle and seemed to be waving it around. They then heard the sounds of an argument beginning to start. Someone needs to go make sure Church doesn't do anything stupid, like hurt Caboose, Ruby suggested. That sounds like a good suggestion, Weiss said. Doc, why don't you? However, Weiss saw that Doc and Ruby were now busy talking to the baby alien and not paying attention to anything else. I guess I'll talk to them then, Weiss said begrudgingly. She approached Church, who was currently yelling at Caboose. It's a person, Church shouted. In yellow armor, we already established that. Oh look, Caboose said. The lady who isn't Ruby is coming this way. What? Church said. He then saw Weiss approaching them. Oh great, what do you want? I just want to know how your call to command went, Weiss said, though she could already guess his answer. Well, you'll be disappointed to know that I couldn't get them on the line, Church said. Oh by the way, great job leaving your friends to help the Reds. Real smart move, he finished sarcastically. What do you mean? Weiss asked. Church pried the sniper rifle out of Caboose's hands. See for yourself. He then gave the sniper rifle to Weiss. Though it was a bit heavy, Weiss was able to lift it up. She looked through the lens of the rifle and moved it around. She eventually stopped moving it when she spotted Blake and Yang together with the Reds. They weren't at the Red base as initially discussed, but instead were standing around and talking beside the other ship. There seemed to also be a new soldier present, this one in yellow armor. What exactly am I supposed to be looking at? Weiss asked as she looked at Church. I'll tell you what it is, Church said. Your friends were supposed to go with the Reds to their base to help you get home. Instead, they decided to help them open the ship, and now they have a new soldier with them. What's your point? Weiss asked, not really understanding why Church was panicking. My point is now the Reds have their backup from command, and who knows what other hell he's capable of, Church said. I mean, he's in yellow armor. What the hell is yellow supposed to mean? And it's all your friend's fault. Excuse me, Weiss said incredulously. That doesn't sound like a nice thing to say, Caboose noted. Yeah, you heard me, princess, Church said. If your friends didn't help the Reds with their ship problem, the Reds wouldn't have their extra help. So, thanks for nothing. Well, I have never heard anything so ridiculous. Weiss shouted. If you don't want us around, then I suggest you help us find a way back as soon as possible. Well, you two don't seem to have found anything helpful either, Church said. Well, we're trying, Weiss shouted. Oh really, Church said. He then pointed behind her. Weiss turned to see what he was pointing at. From across them, Doc and Ruby were speaking with the baby alien. See, my suit is purple, Doc said to the alien. Can you say purple? Pure. Honk, the alien replied. Pull. HNNNK. The alien replied. And this cloak is red, Ruby said, holding up her cloak. Can you say red? Blarg, the alien responded. Ruby simply squealed at it. Great, Doc said. And when we're done teaching you all the colors, we'll teach you why you shouldn't judge people by them. Weiss facepalmed at the display, which didn't really help her earlier statement. Before she could say anything further to Church, they were interrupted by the appearance of another soldier who came out of Blue Base. This soldier was in an aqua-colored armor. Well, look who's awake, Church said. I'm assuming that this is another one of your blue soldiers, Weiss guessed. Yeah, Church said, though I think the word, soldier, is a little too much of compliment. He then addressed the new arrival. Hey Tucker. What the fuck happened? Tucker asked. This time, it was Caboose who spoke up. Oh well, as you may recall, you were, impregnated by an alien visitor who was on a noble mission. As Caboose continued his overly specific explanation, Tucker turned to Church. Can I please get the short version? You got knocked up, you got knocked out, Church replied. He was what? Weiss said in confusion and disgust. Oh yes, Caboose said. Tucker gave birth to an alien baby. Weiss then realized where the alien they saw earlier came from, which just disgusted her even further. Hey Church, Tucker said. Who's the chick? Oh right, Church said. Tucker, this is Weiss. She, her friend Ruby over there, and her other friends apparently came from another dimension, and now they're stuck here. Huh, that sounds rough, Tucker said, not seemingly fazed by the whole, other dimension, thing. You have no idea how hard this whole thing has been, Weiss muttered. I'm pretty sure I know how hard my thing is right now, Tucker said. Bo chicka bow wow. Weiss, face turned red in a mix of embarrassment and anger. You are all just. She didn't finish the sentence and just walked away in disgust. Yeah, Tucker said. She digs me. Dude, she's 17, Church clarified. Ah, Tucker said, disappointed. Well, there's always her friends. They're all underage, Church clarified. Don't be creepy. Hey, don't worry, you know what I say, Tucker said. Keep it clean, if they're under 18. We have more important problems than your potential pedophile charge, Church said. What problems? Tucker asked. The Reds just got themselves a new soldier, Church said, indicating the other team. Who? The girl in the yellow armor. Tucker said, as he looked where Church was pointing. What? Church said, confused. That's a girl. Duh, Tucker said. The one talking with the two other girls, who, I might add, looked totally hot. Again, underage, Church repeated. You have really good eyes, Caboose commented. Well, I have to, Tucker said. I never get to use the fucking sniper rifle. Are you positive it's a girl? Church asked. How can you be sure? Dude, look who you're talking to, Tucker said. Despite wondering what exactly happened with Donut, Blake and Yang saw that the Reds seemed to place their focus back to Sister. So anyway, Sister continued speaking. After I signed up, they sent me here. They said your commander died, and I needed to replace the missing man. Our commander's not dead, Sarge said. I'm our commander. And an excellent one at that, sir, Simmons said. Yang coughed loudly, while saying, suck up, under her breath. Nice, Griff commented at Yang's insult. I normally use the words, kiss ass. Both of you quit yappin'. Sarge shouted at the two. We have a serious case of misinformation. Are you sure you didn't make a mistake? Blake asked Sister. Nope, Sister said. Command specifically said that the commander died, so now one of the troops is going to be promoted, and I have to replace the missing troop. Wait a minute, Simmons said excitedly. What's this about a promotion? Upon hearing Simmons' excited tone, Yang nudged Blake. Sounds like things just got interesting. It sounds like Command made mistake, Sarge stated. I don't know Sarge, Griff said. You always say Command never makes mistakes. I guess that means you're dead. Seriously, about this promotion, Simmons said, his tone now overly eager and demanding. Did Command say who would get promoted? Someone in maroon armor. Hey, you're getting really scary, Sister said. That's kinda hot. Sarge, Griff said. I just want to say, I'm really sorry you're dead. I'm also sorry you're dead, Yang said, placing a hand on Sarge's shoulder, while also trying not to crack up from laughter. Don't be stupid, Sarge shouted at them both. Or in your case, Griff, even more stupid. How can I be dead if I'm standing right here? Well Sarge, if Command was wrong about you being dead, maybe they're wrong about other stuff too. Griff said. Like, what if the Blues don't suck? He then gave an exaggerated gasp. What if the Blues are actually awesome? This changes everything. Sarge, Blake said. You can't actually be buying this. Sarge said nothing for several moments. Blake could tell that he was deep in thought. Men, Sarge shouted. Grab the shovels from the warthog. Blake lowered her head and groaned in resignation. She knew where this was going, and did not enjoy it or what would follow. We got a grave to dig and a funeral to prepare. Dearly beloved, Simmons began. We are gathered here today, to pay our final respects to Sarge. But I was so young. Sarge wept. And violent. This is ridiculous, Blake whispered to Yang. I know, Yang smiled. Isn't it fun? We should be going around their base right now, Blake insisted. Not standing out here for a fake funeral. Oh, have a little fun once in a while, Blake, Yang said. And now, Simmons continued. Griff has asked to say a few things about our beloved Sarge. Hello everybody, Griff said as he stepped into the front. Now before I begin, I would like to ask one of our new arrivals to come on up. You know, to help with our remembrance. Please step forward, Yang. When she heard Yang's name, Blake thought it might have been a mistake. She was soon proven wrong when Yang stepped forward. Blake knew that this was not going to end well. Thank you, Yang said as she grinned and waved her hands and stood next to Griff. So Griff, I've been told that there were some things you wish you could have said to your sergeant. If he was here right now, what would you tell him? Well Yang, what would I say to Sarge? Griff said. Other than, good riddance. Hey yo. Only Sister laughed at the joke. Wow Griff, what a killer thing to say, Yang said. Blake facepalmed at Yang's terrible attempt at a pun. But seriously, Sarge was a good soldier, Griff continued. Now, he makes a better corpse. Zing. What kind of eulogy is this? Sarge yelled. Please be silent while the show, I mean speech, is ongoing, Yang said. And if Sarge's accent wasn't any indication how he was gonna end up in this war, then he'll probably have a long chat about it with all his brothers from the south, Griff said. Who? Alright, that's enough, Sarge shouted. Simmons, get up there with your speech on the double, or we're gonna be having 2 funerals today. On it sir, Simmons then headed up the front. Both of you, get off now. So long folks, Griff said. I'll be here all day. Out with a Yang, Yang shouted as she waved goodbye. She then went back beside Blake, who was giving her a dirty look. What was that? Blake said. I know, I didn't even get to use my good material, Yang said. I finally thought of something that can go with the word, Sarge. Blake gave a venomous glare. What? Yang said. Griff wanted my help with his routine. How could I say no? It's a simple word to say, Blake muttered. Lighten up, Yang said. We can't force these guys to move any faster, so might as well go with the flow. Blake just groaned. Let's just get this over with. Hello everyone. I have a few words to say about Sarge, Simmons said. As you all know, Sarge was a magnificent leader and an inspiration to all of us. Beside her, Blake could hear Sarge beginning to cry at Simmons' words. She just rolled her eyes. He had accomplished many things in his life, Simmons continued. But I believe that his greatest accomplishment was developing my considerable skills as a soldier and your new leader. Huh, Sarge said, confused at Simmons' words. With Sarge's untimely death, there is now a gap in the structure of Red Team, Simmons continued. A gap that I intend to fill, as a man with a new vision for Red Team. Oh no, Blake said, realizing what Simmons was doing. Sarge, I think Simmons is campaigning for your job at your funeral, Griff realized. Classy. Simmons continued speaking. When you make the decision of who you would choose to be your leader, know that you will choose a candidate that Sarge would have wanted you to choose. Choose Simmons. It's the only thing Sarge did in life, so don't let his whole existence be in vain. In conclusion, Sarge is dead, vote for me. Awesome speech. Griff shouted. Young whistled as a sign of cheering, though Blake elbowed her to stop. Sister, you're up, Simmons said as he stepped down. Awesome, Sister said, stepping up front. You couldn't even wait for me to be buried, could ya? Sarge said. Sorry sir, Simmons said. But your death was in the past and we need to look to the future. A future filled with Simmons. You do know that he's not really dead, Blake said to Simmons. Right, Simmons said absent-mindedly. Not really dead. Hey everybody, Sister began. I'm new here, so I didn't know Sergeant that well, but I knew he was really old, and that's gross. Griff and Young both stifled a laugh. And when you're old and gross, there's real chance you're gonna die, which is sad, Sister said. But I guess you'll be with your friends, who are probably dead too. And if they're not, then they just really old, which is way sadder than being dead. So, I guess that's it. Peace out. Alright then, Simmons said. Blake, it's your turn. Wait, what? Blake said, not expecting this at all. I can't say anything. I don't even know Sarge that well. Well, you've known him longer than Griff's sister, and she got to speak, Young pointed out. Eventually, Blake was forced into the front after Young gave her a push. Hello, Blake said shyly, not knowing what to say next. After a few moments, she realized something. Okay, you know what, this is just ridiculous. You're telling me, Sarge said. I'm the one who's dead. But you're not, Blake said. You're not dead. I don't need to eulogize you, because you're not dead. This whole thing is completely ridiculous. Okay, that enough out of you, Simmons said as he rushed to pull Blake out of the front. Alright, it's time to bury the deceased. Sarge, get in the hole. No Sarge, don't, Blake said. Sorry little lady, Sarge said. Command says I'm dead, so I have to be. Command's never wrong. Yes, they can be wrong, Blake said. Especially, with something this stupid. No can do, Sarge said. I have to follow this through, and there's nothing anyone can do. Sarge was cut off as soon as Blake knocked Sarge right in the head with a sheathed gamble shroud. Herc, Sarge let out as he crumpled to the ground, unconscious. And this the end of part 2 this What If. I hope you guys like it. Don't really leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.